Welcome back to another Java session. So in the previous class, we were discussing about the conditional statement. In particular, we have seen the different formats of if statement. Let us continue our journey of conditional programs. We will start with the next conditional statement, and that is the switch statement. Now, this switch is identical to the switch that you see on your board. So when you use the lift or elevator, so there will be many switches. So you can press any one of them. You can make one choice among them. The idea is same. So the your elevator can go to different floor depending upon which switch that you have pressed. So there are multiple options. You can go to multiple floors, but one of them that you can select. So this kind of switching is called as a multi-way branch statement. Okay. So what does the switch do? It provides an easiest way to dispatch the execution of the program to different part of the code based on the value of an expression. So what does it mean is, so in the switch there will be a expression, and based on the value of the expression you can go to multiple option. So there will be multiple option. You can select any one of the option based on the expression which are there at this particular point. Okay, so this is identical to that of your if else if statement. So in the if else if statement, if you notice, if I just go back to my previous case, if you notice here, so in the if there are multiple choices you can put. If you put else if there, you can have multiple choices. So based on your choice you can go to the different part of the or a different block of the code. Identical to this, we have the switch statement. Now let's look at the syntax of a switch statement. In the examination, you are asked to explain about switch statement and or if statement or any other statement. The one thing that you are not doing is you don't write the actual syntax of the program. You simply write something which does not make any sense. Whenever you are asked to write about any of the statement like switch, if, while, for, or any other type of statements, you are supposed to write the syntax of the particular statement or particular thing that has been asked, and then explain about how it is working. So if you look at the switch here, so switch starts with the switch and then followed by the open and close parenthesis. In between, you are supposed to write the expression. Now, based on the value of the expression, there are multiple choices are there. These choices are indicated by the case statement. So you have the case with the value 1. What does that mean is, if your expression evaluates to be value 1, if your expression happens to be value 1, then whatever you write here after the case value 1 will be executed. So if the value of this expression is n, then what happens is the switch statement will ignore these cases and it will pass the control to the case n, and the statement following the case n then onwards will be executed. So this is what is the idea of multi-way selection. So you can have multiple options and you can select one among them based on the value of the expression. There is very important one statement that is part of a switch, and that is the break statement. Now, break statement is not really required, but in most of the cases, it is very essential. Why it is essential? Now, when you write the expression here, if the value of the expression is value 2, then what the switch statement will do is it will not execute these lines. Instead, it will transfer the control to the case with the value 2, which is matching here. Suppose if the expression evaluates to be value 2, then the statement which are following value 2 will be executed. Now, if there is no break, the control will simply pass until it encounters a break. So that is very important. If you don't put the break, it will simply go to the other cases and then start executing. So what does the break will do? Whenever the control reaches a statement that reads to be break, the control will be taken out of the switch statement and whatever the statement that follows the switch. So this is the starting of this switch and this is the ending of the switch. The statement that is following the switch structure or the switch construct will be executed next. So the work of the break is to transfer the control outside the switch block altogether. If you forget to add this break, what will happen is the control simply goes to the next case and so on and so forth, and it will continue. There is one other special case which is there in the switch, and that is called as default. This is optional. Without writing this also, you can execute switch statement. However, if you write this default statement, what will happen? If the value of the expression does not match with any of the choices that you have given here or any of the cases that you have given here, then the default one will be executed. In other words, if none of these match, if none of these value, not the case, none of these values match with the valuation of the expression, then the default will be used. So default is used when there is no match here. If you don't write the default, then if none of the cases match here with the expression value, and if you have not written the default statement, then the switch will simply come out of the block without performing anything. Okay, let us look at some of the things that you must know whenever you are using the switch statement. First of all, with respect to the expression. Now, the expression that you are writing there can be byte, short, int, or char. It cannot be string. So that is not allowed there. So you cannot compare the string values there. Next one, the values that you specify in the after the case must be compatible with the expression. So what does this mean is, you know very well the expressions could be integer, float, and so on and so forth. Suppose if you have the Boolean value here, suppose if the expression happens to be Boolean, then you cannot write 0 or 1. Why you can't write the case as case 0 and case 1? Because 0 and 1 are integer types and they are not the Boolean type. So the type of the expression that you are evaluating and the type of the value that you are specifying, both of them must match. Either they are exact match or they are compatible. Otherwise, the switch statement will not work. Next one, each case must be unique. Okay, that means it must be a constant, not a variable. So it is simple as that. And then duplicate values of case values are not allowed. So what does this mean is, if I go back, I cannot write this as case x where x is a variable. It's not possible. I have to write a value 50, 40, 20, or a capital A, small a, or anything. I can write character, int, short, byte, anything I can write, but I cannot write a variable here. So that is one thing. Next one, you cannot have duplicate value. So I can't write case value is 20. Again, I can't write case value is 20. This is going to create a confusion to the switch statement. I will show you that in the demonstration. Next one, the by the way, if you notice here, I have just forgotten to tell you something. What you have here is byte, short, int, char, and there is no boolean. Even though I gave you an example where there it was boolean, booleans are not allowed. So if you notice here, what is the meaning of it is, I just when I started explaining, I just told you that if this is boolean, you can't write as an integer. And the fortunate part about it is the boolean itself is not allowed here. But for the sake of explanation, I just told you that if this is a boolean, you can't write this as 0 and 1, because in boolean zeros and 1 don't match. But fortunately, in the switch statement, boolean itself is not allowed here. Okay, so that you can ignore that problem. However, most of them, these things are compatible. So for example, byte is compatible with the int, short is compatible with the int, character is compatible with the int. However, when you talk about byte and characters, they don't match altogether. So there must be some way you have to do the adjustment. Okay, now let's come to the next part, and that is the with respect to the break. Break statement is used inside to terminate the sequence. So what happens is, when you have the break statement, the execution branches to the first line of code that follows the switch statement. So I've already told you, whenever you encounter a break, the break will take you out of the switch construct and execute the first line that is following it. So this is as good as jumping out of the switch statement. Let's look at this in action. I have my NetBeans, and last class program is there. So let's look at this in action. I'm going to start with the new thing. Let me zoom it out for you, and I'm going to remove the break here. So I think this is not required. Okay. So let me write this. So I have the x is equal to 10, and then x is integer, x is equal to 10. That is what I have. I write a switch, and I am pressing tab here. This, I must know the spelling of the switch first of all. Okay, so I write the switch here and press tab. Nothing happens. Okay, so if you press control space here, that means is doing something. Okay, and I will continue with that. Then I have to write the value of the expression x. Based on the value of x, I want to take some action. What are the action that I can take? I will write the case is 10. If the case is 10, I'm going to say yes out. It is 10. Then I'm going to write break. Now I can write the next case, and how do we write it? Case is 20. You can write it is 20, and then I can write a break statement here, and then maybe case is 30. Yes out, it is 30, and finally I'm going to break it, and then I'm going to add the default, and I'm going to say yes out. I don't know. Okay, so how does this particular thing works? You can slightly zoom it out a bit to make it appear neat. Okay, so this is how your switch statement works. Let me go here and let me show you that. I'm going to go here for debugging of this particular program. When I start debugging it, so I'm there at this particular point, and then the value of x happens to be 20. I mean 10. Value of x is 10. Now let's look at how the program works. So I have already told you, if you press F7, it will go into one step at a time. So I'm going to zoom it out, and I'm going to just press F7 as I explained, because when you watch the video in a smaller screen, this kind of thing irritates you much. I know that. So I'm going to just place it at right point and then start doing it. So if the value of x happens to be 10, and one thing that I have noticed is when I place the mouse pointer, actually I'm placing the mouse pointer here on top of x here. So I see that mouse pointer is on top of x, but when it is recorded in a video, the mouse pointer actually is pointing somewhere else. I can't help it, because when it is recording, it records it at a very different location. Both of them are not getting synchronized. So the what I'm trying to show you here is the value of x, which is 10, and the 10 will be matched with the 10. So because the value is 10, it matches with the label 10 here, and the statement that is there here will be executed. Now if I go to the next one, so I think I came out of it. Let me zoom it out. So I will run it here, debug. The first case will be matched. So you are in the switch case 10. Can I zoom this itself? It is also, there must be an option for zooming the code itself. I think that somewhere it was there. Anyhow, I will continue with that. So the 10 is matched with the 10, and this statement gets executed. Now if I go out, because I don't want to go into the print line, so if I go out of this, the code ends. Actually, the reason why the code ends is I don't have anything after switch statement, and the program itself will end. I'm going to write one more line over here. You are out of switch statement, so that it shows properly. So let me run it one more time. So I'm going to go here and run it. So first x will be matched with 10, x value is 10, and it's going to match with this label. It goes here. If I come out of this, there is a break after this. Okay. So it simply came out. Let me execute it one more time, and then I'll go here. It is matched with the 10. I will enter into that switch statement, then the print statement, print line, and I'm going to come out of that print line. Now you enter the break here. Break will take you out from the switch statement into this statement which is after the switch. So I will go after break. You notice the control has come here. So how does it go? Value of x was 10. It was matched with the label and the first statement, and if you have many statement, it will execute. When the break encounters, it just comes out of the switch statement. What will happen if the value of x is 20? Let's try to execute this. So I'm going to go over here and I will start with the x is equal to 20. So x value now is 20. I'm going to go here. So x is 20. I wanted to zoom it out so that you can see it properly. I think I have to change the font itself. It will not zoom out. So let's go ahead and let's try to see this one. So I'm going to go to this. Let me try to zoom. No, it is not zooming. In any case, I can't find that code zooming directly here. So I can't find it. I think I have to change the font itself. Can I get the option for? I'm just searching for the zoom. The reason is I know that some of you are watching this on your mobile phone, and then that you won't see this font. This font is too smaller to be shown. So you can go to this tools and then go to the option, and then in the editor you have the font. Where is that font here? Okay. Where is that thing now? There must be a font. I will search for that option. I didn't had this problem before, so I think you have this font directly over here. The font that I wanted to, it is also not. I will make it as something like 18, maybe too much. Okay, hope you'll be able to see it now. So you have, sorry about that, some distraction there. Let's go ahead and let's look at the work. I have the switch statement x is 20, and I have x is 20 here. I'm going to go here, and you know very well x is 20. So this condition and all these things are not matched. The control goes to the label that follows the switch, and that is this. It's going to print the value of it is 20. So that's going to do that. I will go here, and you notice you are in the print line statement. I don't want to know how this print line really works. I will come out of it. So print line has printed. If you look at the output in the, I will zoom it for you now. You notice that it is 20 has been printed. So after that we encounter break, and once the break is encountered, it will not execute any of this thing. It will simply come out of the switch statement. So this is the switch statement from here to here. It will come out of the switch, and the program will continue from there. Okay, you see that thing. Now let me do the last part, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to print 50 here. So 50 will not match with any of them. Let me debug it. So when I debug it, how is it going to do? So x value is 50. I will go into step. So you notice that none of them is matching. It is not matching with all these things. and default statement is taken, it's going to execute I don't know and then just comes out of it. Do I need to put the break statement here after the default? If you put it or if you don't put it, it's not going to make any of the difference, because after default there are no statements are there. So it will anyhow come out of the switch statement. Let me go to the print line, which I'm not interested. I'm going to come out of a print line, and you notice that once the print line is over, it's going to go to the last line over here and it's going to print it. Now something about what if you miss the break statement? What if you miss the break statement here? What if you don't put the break statement there? What is going to happen? If you miss the break statement, I'm going to make it as 10 now. So again, I will just zoom it for you, and I know it is a bit irritating in the mobile to see this in zoom in and zoom out. So the value is 10 here and it has to match with the 10. What happens if you forget to add the break statement? Let's debug it and let's see how is it going to work. So I have this switch statement, value of it is 10. I'm going to go here, it matches with the 10. You notice that because x is 10, the case with the 10 is matched. The control comes here. If there is any other statement over here, it would have executed it. And then what happens? Now I'm going to go to the print line statement. It will go into the print line statement. I'll come out of that print line. And you notice that after print line, after printing this, the control simply goes here because there is no break. If it was a break was there, it would have taken you out of the switch statement, but because there is no break, the control simply goes to the next line. If you notice the output here, the output it has printed, I'm going to zoom it out for you. So output it has printed x is 10. So that is this one that you can see here. After this, what happens? It's going to print this line now. I'm going to go into it. So again, it's going to print this. I'll come out of that print statement. And you notice that the control has gone to the next one because there was no break. And what is the output that you are going to see? The output you are going to see is x is 10, x is 20. That is, it is shown here, it is 10, it is 20. It's going to come to this point here, that is it is 30. If I just go into this print line and then come out of this print line, you notice that it has printed all the three. It is 10, 20, 30. So what it has done is, when you don't have the switch statement, it will simply go to the next statement. And whenever it encounters the break, it's going to come out of the control. Now it is encountering break here. It's going to come out of this switch statement, which is from here to here, and it is going to execute the very next statement after the switch statement. So if I press break here, and it's going to come here and it's going to execute the continuation from here. Now about some problem that you may encounter. So what if I'm going to just put a semicolon here and I'm going to type byte. Okay, byte z. Now I'm going to just type byte 10. I'm going to store that. Okay, y is 10, and I'm going to do this one. So will this work? I'm going to run this one. You are there at here, and I'll go one step at a time. It matches. Okay, so there is no problem as such. However, what if this, you know very well, the value that you are trying to use here is 290, which is far more. Now when I type 290 here, 290 is an integer value. You get a error here. What's the error? So error simply says incompatible type lossy conversion from int to byte. So what happened is 290 is integer. byte, you know very well, 2 to the power 8, 256 is the last value that you can store here. You cannot store after this. So if you try to store something greater than the byte can take, this will not work. The reason is these two are not compatible. This is integer, this is byte, you know very well, this is byte, and they are not compatible, so it's not going to work. Can I use a character? So let's go here and let me say z is char, char, and let me put the char here. So I'm going to say z is equal to small case a. Okay, so will it work? Z is equal to small case a. So if I put z here, will this work? You know very well, integers will be automatically converted to that. Can I say, will it compare with a? Will it compare with b? You can write that. Okay, and if you run it, it's going to work fine. So z in this case is a, and if I go into step into, it's going to match this with this. That is why the first line has been encountered. So the important thing is you have to have the compatible type. Okay, again, can I have the repetition? So can I have case a here again, and then write something? Now before I could write something, you get an nasty error here that says that duplicate label. So label is, duplication of label is not allowed. You can't have the same label repeated again. The next thing is, can I have something without the default? So default is optional. You can always leave the default. Nothing is going to happen if you leave the default. If you run it, something is going to happen, don't worry, but you will not get an error. So default is optional. If you put the default, if none of the case is matching, then default is executed, or otherwise default will not bother your code. The last one is, can I have the other type? So what if you type boolean k is equal to true, okay, and then put k here. So you notice that I'm going to remove this breakpoint. You notice that there is an error. And what is the error? What does that error says? The error says that incompatible boolean cannot be converted into int. As simple as that. You can't have boolean here. Definitely you can't have a string also in this case. I don't need to try that thing. So that is all with the boolean value. So let's try to write a simple code that will check the weekdays. So I'm going to create I think I will zoom it out. There is a way in which I can actually zoom out the screen without going for a Windows zoom out. But anyhow, let me take an int, and I'm going to say weekday, and I'm going to say weekday is 1. So and I'm going to go with the switch. So do I have an option with the switch? No. Okay, switch based on the value of weekday, and I'm going to say if the case is 1, I'm going to say yes out, say it is Sunday, and I'm going to break it. BREAK. I think I'm doing some spelling mistake. BREAK. Okay, next time you are familiar, I'm going to use the Control C to copy and Control V to paste. So this is case 2. It's going to be Monday, and case 3, again when you try to replicate, it's going to give an error message, but that's you know very well. That is Tuesday, and next one is fourth one here. That happens to be Wednesday, and I think I will replicate all these things and then try in one shot. So next one is 5, which is Thursday. Then I have next one, which is 6, that happens to be Friday. What I've done is, for those who have not got it, I just copy pasted it. Control C to copy, Control E to paste, so that you are familiar. The last one that I am trying to do is this is Saturday, and I want one more thing, that is default yes out, and I'm going to say not a weekday. By the way, what did I wrote, week as or week? It is week, correct. So this is not this week, this is the other week. Okay. So let's go ahead and let's run this particular program, and let's see how it works. So if the week is 1, and if you run it, you're going to see it is Sunday. And if it is 5, I'm not going to debug and show you. If it is 5, it's going to ignore up to here. It will not execute. It will not execute this part. It will execute from here. It will print this line and come out. So it's going to print the Thursday. If you run it, you're going to see that. Now let's write one other program to check whether the given character is what is that thing? If okay, given character is vowel or consonant. Okay, so let me zoom it out, and I'm going to take a character. So ch is equal to a. You know very well a, e, I, o, u are vowels. So I take a as the character, and I'm going to switch based on the value of ch. Okay, and I'm going to start with the case. Case is a. So case is a. I know very well there are many cases are there. Case is a, e, I, o, u. Now it has come like this. It is not coming in order. You can right click here, and then you have something called as format. The shortcut key is Alt Shift F. If you format it, it's going to automatically format the code for you. So that's simple. If you messed up the code and if you want to need code, you can do that thing. So A, E, I, O, U, all of them are, okay, I'm going to say yes out, all of them are lower case vowel. Okay, so these are lowercase vowel, and in the same, after this I want to break. Okay, next I'm going to copy this whole thing again. So Control C and Control V. The things are not appearing properly. I will right click, format my code, and it's going to appear properly. Now there is a duplication, so I will make it as capital A, capital E, capital I, capital O, and capital U. These are uppercase, okay, uppercase vowel, and finally I'm going to use the default statement, and the default happens to be yes out, not a vowel. Okay, so let's look at how this thing is going to work. I'm going to zoom out. I'm extremely sorry with those who are watching it on your mobile phone. The things may not be so appealing if you go with the mobile. Okay, but still I'm trying my level best. I don't have an option here that will immediately zoom the this particular area. This particular IDE does not allow me to do that. In generally most of the IDEs, if you press hold the control and rotate the mouse wheel there on the mouse wheel, it's going to do that thing, but this particular IDE is not doing that. Anyhow, I'll come back to the switch statement. So the match, I'm going to match it with I for this demo. I'm going to match it with, this is what we have here. We have a character which is of which has the value I, and we have a set of case statements here. None of them are separated by a break. So in this case, how the program is going to work. Now when I start my program, ch happens to be the value I here. So it will not take up this one because this case is not matching. This case is not matching. This case is matching. So what happens is the control comes here. Now after this, you don't have any valid. These are all identifiers. So there is no valid statements over here. So the program simply comes here and prints lowercase vowel, and then there is a break that will take the program out. So this is how it's going to work. Let me show this with the demonstration. So I'm going to just remove one line over here and one line here so that you'll be able to see. So this is the switch statement, and to just to make it easy to look, I'm going to say out of switch construct. Let me run it now. So I'm going to just save it. I'll go to debug and run it. So we are at this point, and if I go to the step down, it's going to simply come to this line. Why it has come to that line is the I is matched with this I, and there are no valid statements over here except this. So the control comes here, and then if I go one step down, it will go to this print line, and it's going to print that, and you are there in the print line. And I'm going to come out of that print line because I'm not interested in that print line. So I've completed that print line, and if you look at the output here, the output you're going to see is it's a lowercase vowel. After this, what I have is a break statement which will take me out of this switch statement, and it's going to come to this point. So if I go here to the next step, so it will come out of the switch statement and it's going to print this one. If I go one more step, it will take me to print line. I'm going to come out of that print line, and if you see the output, you're going to see the next line that is out of switch statement. Same thing is going to happen if I make this as a capital, say, E. Suppose if I make this as capital E and then execute it, how is it going to go? So I'm going to run this one. In my case, the ch happens to be the value E. So ch is given a value E now. So it will compare with all of them. All of them will not match. So it will not match. This will not match. this will also not match. The control will simply come to this point E, and there is a match between the values. And when the match occurs, there are no valid statements here except this. So the control comes here, it's going to print this line, and then the break will take you out of the switch statement. So let's run this by one step. So when I press, I'm here now. When I press the down arrow, it has come. From here, it has matched the E, and it has come to this line. Now, if I go step into it, there is a print line here. It will go to this print line statement, and it's going to show you how that print line works, but I'm not interested in that. I will come out of that print line statement. So you can see on the output screen, you can see that it has printed the lowercase vowel. Once it has printed the lowercase vowel, the next statement is the break statement. Once the break is encountered, it will come out of the switch statement, and it is going to print the out of switch construct. So if I go into it, it will go to this print line because it is trying to print something. So once it is done, you can see the output that you are out of a switch statement. So this is how a program works. We will see the next part, that is this is the switch statement. We will see the other thing about switch statement, other thing about the control structure in a later class. Now let's look at a simple example. So here int I is taken as 0. So if I is 0, you're going to print it is 0, and the break will take you out. If I is 1, it's going to print this one, and so on and so forth. We have already seen this kind of example. Now the other one that you've shown here. So if you don't put the break, okay, then what happens is when there is a match, the control will simply go to the next, and as long as the break is not encountered, it's going to go in the sequential order, and once the break encounters, it will just simply come out of the switch statement. This is desirable because we have seen we have used it to trick the code to find the vowels in the program. Okay. Now let's look at the reason why we have to use the switch statement, and what are the other type of switch statement in the next class. Because yeah, thank you for your interest. We'll meet again tomorrow.